Greetings and welcome to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal. You can also find me on Facebook in the Sorcerer's Guild. Today, on the Sorcerer's Shadow, Volume 1, we are going to be discussing the essay entitled Potential Power Saps. Now, what a power sap is anything that pulls away from your spell's ability to manifest your intent. The first one that we discuss is the Ego Inflation Power Sap. Now, what an Ego Inflation Power Sap is, that is when your ego becomes the point of the spell. Typically, this is something where you are feeling cool. You'll see this a lot amongst your edgelords in the LHP community or your super white lighters in the RHP community. Well, you see these in every community. The person that wants to identify with what they are rather than creating magic. So this happens when you're casting a spell not because of what you want it to do, but because you want to be a witch, yeah, or a sorcerer, or whatever term you use. So this creates a double intent, and this pulls away from your spellcraft. Now, this isn't just something that can happen from wanting to be cool. It can also be that every time you cast, you think to yourself, oh, I'm so bad at this. Oh, I'm so horrible. And it becomes part of your identity. Well, now, once it's become part of your identity, that's the same thing as an intent. You're creating a form and you're charging it, and it gets pulled into or away from the actual spell so that it saps your ability to manifest your spell work. This is one of the most common power saps, and the more popular you become, the more you need to be aware of this. And the greater you become as a sorcerer, and the more you begin to feel powerful, the more you need to watch out for this power sap. What you want to do is question yourself. This is the reason we do verifications. But also, you just don't ever accept the idea that you have mastered anything. That is a dangerous slope to the power sap. Don't think, oh, I have mastered sorcery, or even I have mastered divination, or I have mastered this one particular aspect of the craft. Oh no. There's always more to learn. But also, once you start thinking of yourself as master, and if you're doing it to become a master, well then, you are putting yourself at risk for the Ego Inflation Power Sap. Okay. So the next one that we talk about in here is the Flair for Secrecy. This is very common. Especially amongst Wicca and that sort of thing, they talk about the Flair for Secrecy. Okay, so what is that? Why does it matter? The Flair for Secrecy is because it can affect the form of the spell, but once again, it works through the intent. When you tell people the intent of your spell, that gives them access to its form. That links them to the spell. And anything they think about can pull from that form and misshape your spell and make it harder for it to manifest, especially if they doubt. Now, it's not that you can't tell the person that you cast a spell. It's the intent. The more directly they know the intent, the more likely it is that they can affect it. So, this isn't always a bad thing. If you know the person is going to have positive thoughts and understand what you were doing along that same form, perhaps you could tell them. But there's a second aspect to this idea of secrecy. In Chaos Magic, we talk about the lust for results, avoiding the lust for results, because thinking about the spell, obsessing about it while it's in action can pull at it, can pull power away from it, can again misshape its form. So, if you keep it secret, you're not thinking about it much. And that helps to keep you from obsessing. the chaos magic, we often talk about forgetting. This is along the same lines. And we will talk a little bit more about lust for results in future essays. So that's all we'll cover on that for now. Okay, we got 2 more to go through. The third one is mimicry. Let me make sure I got those in the right order. Hold on. I don't want to discuss them out of order on you. Okay. Yes. Adherence to misunderstood dogma or mimicry. This is when you're doing something in a spell that you don't know why. And it's not something that is an instinctual, okay? I'm not saying if you have an instinctual urge to spin the candle 3 times or whatever it is. If it's an instinctual urge, well, that's resonating. That, go with it. But if there are things you've been taught about, even in what I give you, no matter where it comes from, if there are ideas within how they discuss to cast the spell that just doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't get that instinctual pull, yeah? Okay, we want to just take that right out. Anything that doesn't affect your gnosis in a way that it convinces you that this is working. Maybe there is a reason for it, and maybe you'll come back to it at a later date. But if it's not resonating with you and you can make the spell complete without it, just take it out. Don't do that thing. That's going to disrupt the flow of the spell. That's going to make it harder for you to charge, harder for you to get into gnosis. You just want to get that out of there. And along the same lines, with this last one, we are talking about, let's see, just a moment. Oh, I skipped ahead of myself. Oh, well, I took them both into the same one. The first one is you don't want to be the mimicry. Yeah, first one is simply mimicry. You don't want to copy what other people are doing because it doesn't jive with you. It doesn't link up and sync. Just a moment. I want to look over this real quick, make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, yeah, pretty much covered that. And we've gone over the resonating one too. So the first one is mimicry. Don't just follow what other people do, because it isn't going to sync up with you if you're just mimicking another person. You don't want to find yourself simply going through the steps of spellcraft. You want to be doing what flows with you. You want to keep it flowing within your idea, your aesthetic. You can't mimic someone else's aesthetic and expect that to work the same for you. It's not going to move you in the same way. And the same with that last one about the lack of resonance. You don't want to put things in your spellcraft that you don't feel, that aren't there inside of you. Like I said, these last 2 power steps are very closely related, but you need to take both of them into consideration. And if something, for some reason, your spellcraft is not working, these are the power steps you want to first look over. There are a few other ones that we can discuss that I may discuss in later books, but these are the major ones. Okay, so next time we will be discussing the essay on divination. Thank you once again for joining us. If you haven't taken the opportunity to, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please take the opportunity to do so now. And like I said, don't forget to join us next time when we'll be doing an essay on divination. Okay, until then, bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tal.